questions for you. Where is a place you feel most alive? Where did you learn your trust had been betrayed? Where was your faith in humanity restored? I'm an artist. I constantly think about what creates meaning in our lives and make art about those ideas. I live in Austin, Texas, where we're deeply devoted to relationships and culture. And over the years living in Austin, I became really curious about what experiences people were having that made them feel at home. So I set out to explore these ideas of belonging in a visible and meaningful way. I think other people's feelings about a place help shape our own, creating a collective sense of place. And psychologists call all of this place attachment. What laid the groundwork for my inquiry was a theory of psychology and emotional wholeness created by Robert Plutchik in 1980. His diagram shows us how emotions are relational and connected. He described 8 primary intense emotions: ecstasy, admiration, terror, amazement, grief, loathing, rage, vigilance. Secondary emotions are a mix of those: love, submission, awe, disapproval, remorse, contempt, aggression, optimism. And less intense are the daily felt ones of joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, and anticipation. I discovered Plutchik's theory in my own search for understanding. I grew up as an at-risk kid in poverty and isolation, with abuse and neglect. My family's religious beliefs meant no medical attention and staying apart from others. The abuse included intense punishments, forced exorcisms, public shaming. And when I turned to another family member for help, led to sexual trafficking in my early teens. I got out and on my own. I got into therapy. My wonderful therapist taught me about post-traumatic stress disorder. She wanted me to recount my traumatic experience. My first thought was, which one? I survived, but I wanted to thrive. I wanted to know the confidence of being loved. I wanted a family. I wanted the chance to do my best work and to feel free. But in order to have all those good things, I knew I needed to heal emotionally. And I couldn't do that by rejecting that story. Healing requires acceptance. And building a life requires vulnerability and attachment. And I had to find a way to embrace all of that to grow. Plutchik's tool showed me a way that I could envision my whole life as a flower of experience. You get to awe between fear and surprise. You get to trust between love and submission. And in order to fully allow joy, I had to fully allow grief. And I didn't want to just stay in that red-hot mess area of rage and vigilance. So I started making art about those ideas of acceptance and emotional wholeness, and I shared them with my community. This is a sculpture called Dance of the Cosmos. It's mechanical and solar-powered. It opens and closes, and my husband helped me make it. It was inspired by a Tibetan lotus mandala and Plutchik's chart, which forms the base of the sculpture. I've been an artist long enough to know that if an idea stays interesting to me, it will resonate with others. And I wondered if something could be healing and nurturing to my whole community. So, with the collaboration of a whole lot of friends, I created an interactive public art project called XYZ Atlas, where people's experiences and stories could be documented and mapped. It started with a survey where we asked people the questions about where they had those experiences that create the meaning in their lives, such as, where have you faced your own mortality? People answered with a location and often a story. To the question, where were you struck by love? My favorite answer was, where didn't I fall in love? The most memorable was in Zilker Park, on a quilt in the middle of the park with snacks. Snacks help love happen. To the question, where did you feel utter disgust? A respondent answered, this is where I watched a man strike his child. This is an emotional landscape of Austin. We gave the locations X and Y, latitude and longitude coordinates on a map. We gave it a Z point up if it was positive, and down if it was negative, and we color-coded it to Plutchik's chart. Using geographic information systems, or GIS mapping tools, we created a collective map of our highs and lows. The anonymous data came in the form of a spreadsheet. Reading a row across, you'd see all the ups and downs of a single person's life experience in a place. Reading a column down, you'd see all the varieties of experience that cause a particular emotion. All the stories for rage, all the places for fear, and all the range of joy. I got lost in those stories. And one thing I discovered was, in some cases, a single person would answer multiple negative emotion questions in the same place, same occurrence. For example, in a valley of misery by Lake Travis, a person answered 6 negative emotion questions in the same spot, telling different facets of the same abusive experience. That is personal trauma. We don't have the same for positive experiences. Respondents tended to spread out their highs all over the place, but we have collective high spots, places of connection and joy that we return to over and over. The peak on the map is Barton Springs Pool in Zilker Park, our place to laugh with friends, to take a swim in the source of life, and to fall in love. The project was interactive. On grassy fields in all kinds of different places in town, we drew scale maps where people could walk around and flag the field with their experiences while taking the survey. At one event, at the end of a long day, a young woman spent well over an hour carefully writing her stories on each flag she placed. When she finished, I gratefully thanked her for her time and attention in my project. She told me she was currently in recovery for heroin addiction, and that the questions helped her understand her story and know what places she needed to avoid. Through invitations and commissions, we moved the project all around for 4 years. We created field maps and scale models and paper surveys. We created a beta digital platform to more efficiently collect the data. And we made giant "You Are Here" sculptures that we moved around to get people's attention to the project. This is a map of Bryan and College Station, Texas, where we use the XYZ Atlas to understand its use in urban planning using race and income demographics. This is Congress Avenue in downtown Austin between the Texas State Capitol and Lady Bird Lake. A city isn't just land, streets, and buildings, but places overlaid with the diverse history of many people. We collected stories about why a particular spot was beloved or depressing. I took the project to over 120 events and locations that reached over 600,000 people in real life and over 7 million in the press. I got a lot of feedback. So many thoughtful people suggested how to improve the project and urged me to think yet bigger. The XYZ Atlas is a tool that can affect the health and well-being of a person and a community. It demonstrates how our experiences drive our emotions drive our behavior, and our behavior drives our health. Examples. Our experiences drive our emotions. After an accident, my fear is like a filter in front of my eyes, affecting all my choices and even changing my perception of time. After an inspiring concert, I'm ready to live life to the fullest. And our emotions drive our behavior. Feeling rage, do I treat others well? Feeling love, I'm ready to go to work for my family's future. And our behavior drives our health. Feeling aggressive, do I reach for a drink or worse to change the mood or drive too fast? Feeling trust, I'm ready to take a risk toward what I want and make a change. The XYZ Atlas is a tool that puts our health in context. We need to see the social and environmental influences that shape our daily choices. It's a creative, fun, engaging way to ask, how are you? We had deep conversations about the primary determinants of health, and people wanted to have those conversations. One of the many groups we surveyed were individuals experiencing homelessness in downtown Austin, a growing number. In a park, we had coloring pages where people could share the space in a safe and creative environment while taking the survey. The stories they told of our beloved downtown broke our hearts. The assaults, the betrayals, being unwelcome everywhere and without any place to belong. I also see the XYZ Atlas as a tool to help us understand the collective histories in a city. How do we accept experiences that seem unacceptable? How do we make sense of brutal histories and events? Hurricanes, lynchings, gun violence, ignored rapes. It functions outside of race, age, class, and gender. We are all sharing the same place called home. And we're all feeling that same spectrum of emotions. It's a way to engage with people and reach out to people whose circumstances are different than your own. The amount of money in your bank account does not correlate with the value of your life's experiences. We're here to live and to allow the fullness of being. Through art, we were able to visually demonstrate the health value of healing our souls and our communities. What's the effect of someone getting the chance to live at their full capacity of compassion and resilience? What do our cities look like when we can live together wholly, contributing our best work? It's true, we can survive alone. But together, we can thrive. Thank you.